Debbie Belle, hosting here in London at the Sustainable Finance Live Conference hosted by Finextra and Responsible Risk. And I'm joined by Gina Belle of Chôra. We're going to be talking about the Transformation Challenge. Gina, hello.
Hello Debbie, happy to be here.
It's great to have you here. The Transformation Challenge, I mean, that can encompass so much. So let's talk about sustainable finance. And we were chatting before the cameras rolled about zooming out into the bigger picture of system transformation.
Absolutely. So I think there's a few reasons why it feels interesting to do that in the context of the event today. So firstly, I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I would say that climate challenges cannot be solved by any one government, business, organisation, stakeholder alone. And so really what we want to do today is think about both how finance might need to transform itself to be better in service of higher order system impact, but also how if we zoom out and take a whole of system perspective, what that opens up in terms of new ways to think about the risks and opportunities for finance as a player in those spaces, and how it can both invest in its own activities in different new ways, but also how it might think about different levers of change that it can contribute to in other systems that are either under transition, being disrupted, or are choosing to be deliberate and take a leadership perspective when it comes to getting ahead of change and being more progressive when it comes to climate impact.
When you're talking about being more progressive and getting ahead of change, why does system transformation matter when it comes to investing and climate change?
So I think there's a few unprecedented things that are required to actually rise to the challenge of the climate impacts that we're already aware of, let alone the ones that are coming, which we have no way of really predicting. And that comes across a few different levels. So we're going to need unprecedented leadership, unprecedented collaboration, and investment. And I think when it comes to the investment piece, really what we're still looking at is the known knowns that are at play in these system problems. We're really responding to things that we need to stop and reduce the amount of harm that's being done with respect to climate change problems. And what we're really trying to do when we talk about system transformation at a holistic level is to really think about different places that financial capital can be invested, different flows and value exchanges that can be created, but probably to be more provocative, how can finance put itself into play in a way that might not have a clear financial return? Because if we start talking about impact and the sort of change that is really required on a global scale to ensure the future of our whole biosphere, you start getting to this interesting tension between, financial profit plus impact into that longer term stewardship of the planet and its natural resources. And that's really, in system transformation, the dance that we're doing is between sort of profit and longer term value beyond financial.
And it is a dance.
Yes.
What tools do you have to help towards this dance and ESG?
So Chôra does a few things to help people navigate the complexity of this dance. So the first thing is just to acknowledge that these problems are complex. They behave in non-linear ways. They don't give us data in a way that makes it easy to understand. It makes it hard to know what the right or wrong thing to do is. And complex problems certainly don't wait around while we decide what to do next. And this creates a really significant degree of uncertainty, something that we all hate, particularly as financial institutions. We really like to be able to think about, as I've heard in a lot of the presentations say, how do you translate uncertainty into risk, things that we can measure and quantify. And so what Chôra does is really, firstly, give organisations a way to frame complexity, to frame the problem in such a way that they can actually observe what about it is relevant to them. Not all the complexity in the world, analysing and understanding every dynamic, but for me and my organisation, what about this problem really matters in terms of our strategy and what we're trying to achieve in the space of impact. So a lot of that involves, if you think about the London Underground map, for instance, I was thinking about that on the train on the way here. So it doesn't actually show you the real world, all the complexity and dynamism of London as a city. It gives you just enough information about that complexity to be able to take action and make choices to navigate the system. And we have a tool called a social system transformation canvas that does the exact same thing, but for complex social problems. So it helps you represent the key features of that problem in such a way that you can say as an organisation, where am I in that problem currently? Where are my investments, my customers? Where are the things that I'm doing? And then you start to get this sense of where you've positioned your current investments and activities within the problem. And once you can see that, you can start to say, well, where aren't I? Where are the gaps and opportunities in that space? So the first piece is really just representing the problem. The second piece is then, how do you actually move from setting objectives to generating new capabilities and systems to move towards them in a way that helps you dance with the system? And that's where our strategic innovation process, which I'll be talking about later on today, comes in. It's really bringing together risk and innovation as a way of managing risk, actually constantly reimagining and generating new intelligence, both about the problem, but new solutions you can bring to your organisation to navigate, understand that problem, and actually reimagine the entire paradigm of your business and the problem itself. So it really creates this space between problem and solution where your organisation can not just respond to the challenges that we're aware of today, but actually think about what's next.
Wow, Gina, I'm still thinking about that analogy of a simplified map leading you onto this journey of thinking about solutions and moving forward. And I think that was a great way of describing it. Gina, thank you so much.
You're welcome.